Welcome to the Imperfectly Empowered podcast with leading DIY lifestyle blogger ahnafulmer, where women are inspired with authentic stories and practical strategies to reclaim their hearts and homes by empowering transformation, one imperfect day at a time.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Imperfectly Empowered podcast. I am your host, ahnafulmer. Today we have Lia Valencia Key on the podcast. Lia went from living in a homeless shelter with her mother, sister, and brother as a little girl to the stage with Oprah as a successful businesswoman. In spite of her humble beginnings, Lia founded the Valencia Key Jewelry Company, jewelry personally designed by Lia herself that she calls wearable joy, pieces to remind you that anything is possible. Valencia Key Jewelry launched on QVC and has been featured on dozens of platforms. She has shared the stage with the likes of Oprah, Brendan Burchard, and Tony Robbins. From homeless to 100 million homes, welcome my friend and personal ray of sunshine, Lia Valencia Key.
Hi.
Hi, friend.
Please forgive me. How are you? Forgive me for. Oh, I love the stand in the day. I love it. So
I got
much.
you, girl.
Forgive me for being 2 minutes late.
Oh my gosh,
This new
no worries.
Apple. It says you can finger touch it in, then you can't. I'm like, come on with the passwords.
Yeah, no worries. Look at you. You're so pretty.
You're so pretty. I'm so happy to see you.
I love your yellow. I love your yellow. So I have to tell everyone, I first met you at a conference and you had something else beforehand. So you came in a little bit late and you were at my table and it was a roundtable discussion. So Lia comes in and she literally, not only is her personality a ray of sunshine, but you look like a ray of sunshine. She comes in and I mean, every head turns because Lia just lights up a room. She comes in and she's so sweet and smiley. Anyway, that's like the instant impression that I had of you. So I love you literally wear the joy. Yeah, we're all like, oh, who is this smiling ray of sunshine?
Thank you. That's my dream. So thank you for hearing that. Makes me say my prayers are answered. Just to put a smile on someone's face. You
do. You really do. So I have to ask you, is yellow, how did you come to the place where yellow's your color?
Yeah, it was a journey when I decided that I was going to jump and really bring Valencia Key jewelry to the world. When you're creating a gift, my inspiration, I call them my sisters, my mentors, Jamie Kern-Lima, founder of It Cosmetics and New York Times bestseller, Believe It book, and Vicky Tsai, creative Tatcha Skincare. I mentioned their two names because they took me under their wing and I was able to be around beautiful women that really had a passion to give something of love to the world. And I saw that they did that in full intention from every aspect of what they were giving. You call it in the form of a company or product, but they were given this gift. Everything was intentional because it had a mission. So seeing that's why light inspires light. I realized, like, what am I giving to the world? What does that mean? And that's how I came up with my name. It is ironic that it's my middle and last name. Valencia means brave and Key means to unlock. But I was so far against using my name. I'm like, I don't want to use it if it doesn't have purpose, because I want it to really impact lives when you receive it. So, okay, the name's great. I'm coming like, okay, love the name. Yes, I want to unlock the bravery. That's been my whole journey. I'm sure we'll dive into that. Unlocking light, unlocking perseverance and bravery. I'm like, yes, that's what I want to give to the world. But visual is to me, the most empowering, impactful thing.
Yeah.
Because normally before someone hears you, they see you or they feel you. And so before you can say a word, before you can get your mission of impact out, someone needs to feel it. And how do you feel things? It's through visual, and color is one of the most powerful emotional grabbers if we're not aware of that. You can evoke emotion in someone just by color. And that's how I went down the discovery of, so then what is that color? What do I want to bring to the world in the form of color? And my journey has been going from immense darkness to literally light.
Yeah.
And light
and
has
yellow.
shattered blessings. And so yellow is
I
light.
love it.
It is the
I love
most
it.
energetic color.
Yeah.
That when you think of energy, when you think of light, you think of yellow. And then I start really getting into it. And I'm like, oh, that's it. But then when I embodied it, so whoever is listening, when you decide on something that feels really good to you, take it on 1000%. So then it became me.
Yeah.
And I just start realizing, like, it is an emotional game changer, yellow. It makes anyone smile. It makes me smile even when I don't feel like it.
I love it. You mentioned that, you came from a place of darkness to this place of light, literally and figuratively. Tell me a little bit about that backstory and how really your mom ultimately inspired, kind of the original inspiration for your jewelry. So give me a little bit of that story.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to share that to your hearts, because I love speaking where I come from, because I feel that seeing other people's journey is empowering. And my journey, when I say it starts in darkness, I was born in poverty. I was born in one of the most impoverished neighborhoods of Philadelphia. Actually, I looked up, when I'm researching, when I do more talks, I'm researching one of the places I lived, and it's dilapidated and abandoned now because it was one of the most violent, impoverished, dangerous areas labeled in Philadelphia. And I'm like, wow. So that's what I was born into. And that darkness looks like violence on every corner, drug addictions all around you, profanity, hopelessness, all of that. And that went from darkness to destitute when my mother had a major bad accident and broke her leg in several places. So we lost our home, what we called home. Initially, we lived under someone's dilapidated basement. So it was like one basement room. But that was home to us. And that was still darkness. But there was a point in time where my mother couldn't work anymore, and we were kicked out of that, and we were homeless, and we had no place to go. And that went to hopelessness, because if anyone ever has experienced homelessness or heard of it, and if you haven't, I'll just give you a picture. It's the one I experienced is they put a gym, like a gym size, like a big old room of just women with cots and their children. And all you have is a cot for your children. And so you hear all the sorrow, all the tears, all the anger inside just right around you 24/7 every day. And that's what I lived in for several years of my life. And that was darkness. And my mother, as soon as we were put in a homeless shelter and it was all this sorrow around us, I remember, I love sharing this because she looked down at her children and she told us, your predicament does not determine your destiny. And I think that's so powerful, because someone today, even listening, is in a predicament, not the predicament I was in, but it's a predicament. It's challenging. It feels rough. It feels heavy. And sometimes you want to feel like you want to succumb to that, or that's all it is. But this is my life. And so I'm going to speak those words into your heart today, that whatever your predicament is, it's not your destiny. And your destiny is within you. It really is. It's a living light within you, and you hear it. But then the next thing is choice.
Yeah. Now, how old were you? What was the age range for you those years that you were living in the shelter?
And I black a lot out to be accurate, but I love remembering from grade perspective. I was in around third grade when we first went to the homeless shelter.
Yeah.
And We stayed in the homeless shelter. We were shuffled around to different types of homeless shelters, but I stayed in a homeless shelter until about 5th or 6th grade. And then they shuffled us to a place called a housing project, which is still a homeless shelter. It's like now everyone is just in a bigger area and you actually have a room, a little more space, but it is everyone that's impoverished in an area and we're living on public assistance. And I lived there until college. I was around that environment until college. I remember certain people that never even left that environment.
Yeah.
And I get where my mother told me then, because I start to follow. I start to listen to what was around me and I start to fail and become my environment. And the next powerful thing, which I really say turned the light on in my life, was we were still in the homeless shelter at this time, and I was coming back and my mother asked me, she stopped me right at the door and she said, do you want to be a follower or do you want to be a leader? And this is about 5th grade perspective around that time. So I'm still young and I totally didn't get it. I'm like, what is she talking about? And so she continues and she says, because right now you're following. You're following everything we're in. You're following all the horrible stuff that you see. And guess what? I'm going to tell you right now, this is what you're going to be. Or you can choose to lead. She said, you can choose to lead your life. I love pausing on that. I start breaking that down like now. She didn't say lead others. She literally said, you can lead your life. The most powerful thing to lead is your life.
Right.
And she said, within you is this light. Within you is your destiny. Your predicament does not determine your destiny. So now, Lia, you choose. And she walked away. There was no directive. There was no orders. There was no anger. There was a great picture painted for me. And here's where you are. Here's where you can be. And now I'm going to put it in your hands. And I love it. I'm like, thank you for putting it in my hands. And at 5th grade, at such a young age, I got it. And I'm grateful to have gotten it. So I hope someone gets it right now. Like we can be told a lot of stuff, right? I can sit in on workshops and everything. I'm receiving it, but I'm not getting it. And the stuff goes over my head and I don't. But some things you get and you can take it and instantly put it into life application. And at such a young age, I was flooded with light from those beautiful words from my mother. I went right back the next day. Well, I remember vividly my mom walking away and I remember me standing there, little me standing there like, whoa, I can lead, like, I don't have to be this. Because I thought that you do. Like, I really thought this did. And I was like, I get to listen to what I really want to do. I don't want to do this. Okay, got it. Choosing my life. Went back to school, asked my teachers, how do I get my grades up? So I love to share this. In creating jewelry, I realized because I hand sketch, we'll talk about like how we got to the jewelry, but I hand sketch every design. My inspiration is that it's wearable light and wearable joy, to remind you. And so I'm trying to create designs that will trigger these thoughts for you when no one else is there, when you can't remember the podcast, or you remember the podcast, but then there's a visual to connect you with it, right?
Yeah.
And then, so when I'm designing these and then I send it to a manufacturer, I realized the power of a millimeter. Now, I wasn't great in math, actually, and I became a math teacher, but we won't judge there. But I wasn't great as a young girl in math. But when I start realizing the power of math and how important a millimeter is, meaning if the manufacturer takes my hand sketch and I put a certain millimeter sizing on it and they make it 1 millimeter bigger, it becomes less luxurious feeling and looking. If they make it 1 millimeter less, it breaks. Like, that's the power of these small movements. So then I start looking back at my life and in my current life, And I start to realize the power of just making millimeter choices, meaning these very small, minute choices that will literally change the trajectory of your life. It will make you and it will break you just as well as jewelry, right? It's so beautiful. So that first thing I did as a young girl was go back and do a millimeter choice. One question: how? Teacher, how can I get good grades? That millimeter choice just starts spiraling into other choices and other choices. And I realized I wasn't just choosing these tangible things, I was choosing light. And I was choosing life, and I was choosing my destiny that was inside of me. And I think that's a beautiful message to share to hearts that are listening. Take millimeter choices. You can have huge, big dreams, or you can have a situation where you want to get out of, but you don't know how. Take a millimeter choice, and that choice will start inching up and create major impact and change in your life.
I love that, Lia, because it speaks exactly to what I talk about all the time, which is that concept that if we want to truly empower transformation in our life, then we need to take it one imperfect day at a time. And it is exactly what you're saying. It's that concept of millimeter choices. You know, you just take it one at a time. It may be really tiny, but like you're saying, those choices can have exponential impact. And I'm also hearing from you as a mother, I'm also hearing the importance of the words that we say and the impact that those have. And I just think of my children. My daughter is in third grade, and what you're saying is resonating with me. Just this concept that I also have the power of my words to help inspire choice. But like you're saying, at the end of the day, it is still a decision that you have to make. And you truly took that sense of motivation and converted it into discipline, because you have a bachelor's in business, then you got a master's in education, a cosmetology instructor's license, a US patent. I mean, you've defined the concept of shattering glass ceilings. And if you could sum up in one word the secret to success, and I think you may have already hit on it, but what would you say that is? You went from homeless shelter to all of these achievements. What is the key? I think you've kind of touched on it, but what would you say?
Honestly, I really think, okay, there's two important keys. Like if there was a key box and I was like, I want to grab one. No, I need you to get in there and just grab two. And the two keys that I need you to grab to help you unlock the life that's waiting for you and life changes. What I also want to say is don't get stuck in the life that you're in, even no matter how great it is. There's greatness, there's more greatness waiting for you. And that's not greed, that's not being ungrateful. God has evolving greatness in all of our lives. So embrace evolving greatness. But if there's two things, I would first say the power of choosing through action, meaning choice to me starts in the brain.
Mm.
But that choice needs to manifest into believing. You'll hear Jamie Kern-Lima, her book is called Believe It. I say it always, it's one of the books I love so much because I love it. Like choice and belief are two, they got to live in the same realm. It's almost like one concept. You choose it, then you choose to believe it, because believing creates the action. You can choose something, and if you don't believe it, you won't do it. Right? You're like, oh yeah, I want to do that. How many things have we said we want to do?
Yeah.
But you don't really believe it enough. So it doesn't create action. So I need you to combine those two words as one key. Choose it so much that you believe it. And when you believe it, it infectiously forces you to make some type of action. Tony Robbins says, make a move. It happens. But the second most powerful key is your inner light, your inner being, in your inner energy. You can get a lot of things not being kind. I'm sure you can. To me, it's going to be a really hard road to get there. So what I chose above all is my energy. I'm not the best at anything. I'm not the best hairstylist. I'm not the best whatever, fill in the blank. But what I know is really great is my heart and my energy. I will change the atmosphere around me. I will bring stuffy, tight anger to joyful, loving light. And I've decided to be that. And when I decide to be that, people feel that because that energy is a magnet. And challenging negative energy is an opposite magnet. So it repulses and repels people away. So you get further away from people in distance and action. But positive, loving, joyful, peaceful energy is literally and it grabs people to you. And then people start to pull you forward. So you may not be the best at anything, but be the best in your heart. Find a way to get a good heart. Become love. I root myself in love. My second collection is titled Rooted, because I was looking over, there were storms happening in my life and I'm still feeling strong and I'm still standing. And I'm like, how is this possible? And I'm feeling joy in my heart and I'm still loving. And I'm like, because I've rooted myself. I was with one of the companies I work with, Tasha Skincare. It's a monk, and it's a Japanese brand, so we get to speak to him. I got a blessing to speak to him. We went to Japan, and I asked him, like, what's a number one rule? Like you asked me, what's the number one rule of life? And he said, to find your roots. He said, be like a tree. And so that was so powerful to me. And I started to realize that is so real. If you root yourself in defining emotions and actions of being, storms will come, your branches will break off, leaves will fly away, but you will still be standing. But your roots have to be pure. My roots are love, peace, joy, perseverance, and believing. I'm rooted in that. No matter what comes my way, even when my human crops up and I start to feel like acting against that, I recheck in my brain and say, Lia, is that love? When you walk in this room, what is love gonna look like? Mm-hmm. Well, love is patient, love is kind, love is slow to anger, love is open. So be love. And when I'm not being loved, when I'm getting angry, because I'm human, because I can get angry real quick, I check myself. That's not love, Lia. So I bring it back to love. Yeah. So if you root into these things, it's this core value is the second key. If you get your core love and full of light, the human energy around you will take your dreams and pull them forward.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm summarizing, really what I'm hearing you say is that the key to unlocking the life that you want is to ultimately choose joy. To really,
period.
Yeah, period. Oh, we're done. That's it. Podcast over.
I know. And joy looks like light. I think light is the precursor to joy. Like light is in energy. I'm doing this study because I'm really like trying to really narrow this thing down to science. And we are all created of energy. It's facts. And our energy comes from our heart center. And our heart center radiates. This is mathematical science. Your heart center energy, unintentional or intentional, radiates about 3 feet beyond you. What is the impact of the 3 feet that you're giving out? You can let it be intentional, meaning I'm choosing to radiate joy, that 3 feet. It's going to go out regardless. So you can choose the light that you put out in the world, and dictated as joy and dictated as love and dictated as peace. Or you can let it be erratic energy and let your human self take over. And sometimes it's nasty, and sometimes it's anger, and sometimes it's nice, and sometimes it's not. You know what? Yeah. And then that energy is it's not stationary, so people don't even know what they're going to receive. Something 3 feet regardless, but they don't know what they're receiving. Yeah. Or you can intentionally give out 3 feet beyond you what people are receiving, so they know what they're getting. And when people in the world know what they're getting from you, they want it, especially when it's good. Mm-hmm. And that would change the trajectory of your life.
I think what is so crucial to highlight about a story like yours, it's easy to hear the success story, and you do have such a joy and infectious light about you. But I think it's important for people to hear and to understand that the concept of joy is not necessarily the absence of grief. It doesn't mean that there aren't trials, that there isn't really difficult moments. And I think that is the important thing to highlight, because unfortunately with social media and even these snapshots like podcasts, it's so easy to just now see this joyful, successful woman. But it's so crucial to highlight that you have been through struggle. There have been a lot of trials. And instead of skipping over them, you choose to go through them, and you made that choice. But tell me a little bit, is there a moment that you can think of in that journey where maybe it was in college, maybe it was in your mat? Was there ever a point where you're like, I can't do this? Like, did you ever struggle with doubt, or just that sense of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this? And how did you approach it? What was your mindset like? And then how did you push through that mentality so that it converted to action, like you said? Can you think of a time like that you could share?
Every day.
Amen.
I mean, we don't have to go back in history. We can go back to yesterday. I mean, probably when I woke up.
Amen.
Every day. I'm listening to John Maxwell, a leadership training. And he was saying, he calls it leadership, but anything that's a big reach for you, it's an uphill battle. Life is an uphill battle, truthfully. Mm-hmm. If you just stay there like a stagnant, lay there, life is still going to be hard, right? Because life, you don't know what you're going to get in life. Even if you're not trying to do anything, it's hard. But then when you add on a dream, you get your regular life stuff, and then you get your dream stuff. Oh God, it's heavy. So, but I will say, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and we were talking because I went to Penn State for my undergraduate degree. And as I said, I black out stuff. But she went to Penn State. So these Penn State visions start to come back. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then I realized, wow, my mother was dying while I was trying to make it through college. Literally bedridden, her legs swollen the size of tree trunks, and dying the entire time. And I believe she passed before I blacked that out, but before I graduated college. And I'm trying to make it through. I've got this opportunity to be in school. And I know I want to go beyond where I come from. And I know this is giving me exposure to see something bigger. But my mother's in Philadelphia dying. And so I'm managing going back, trying to get back to Philadelphia, and then trying to get back to school. And it's that moment of, how do you do it? Do you give up? Do you let yourself die with your mother? Do you give all your schooling up? And what I knew was I had to live. I had to live because my mother wanted me to live, right? And of course, I physically wasn't going to die, but I believe there's a such thing as living dead.
Sure.
Meaning you've given up all hope. You've given up all possibility. And that's living dead to me. And so I could choose that, or I could choose to take my mother's words, wisdom, and dream and embody it to 100% concept of fully living, and take the life that she was having and losing and magnify it. And that's what I chose to do. So when I think of these really hard times that I have, I don't allow them to take me to where it is. I allow it to push me forward to where it wants me to be.
Amen.
Meaning my mother put so much beauty in me through the power of word. She was a wordsmith. She couldn't get out of bed, but she could write something. What? You want to write a letter and get something changed? She would write a letter and change the whole environment. You just give them this letter. You just hand the letter over. You don't know what the letter said. The whole school would be saying something different. So she had the power of word. I don't have the power of writing like she did, but she had the power of word and the power of writing. And I said, well, this is a gift that will live in me everlasting. And so I'm going to magnify that gift 100%, and I'm going to honor it. And so that's how I choose to look at every challenge in my life. What is it giving me? Not what is it depleting? Not what am I losing?
Yeah.
But what am I getting from it? Even from the struggle, what am I learning from it? And then I'm a cry, of course. I get sorrow. I also, one of my other keys is I give myself not for loss, not for the loss of my mother. I lost 3 major pillars in my life in a matter of years: my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt, in a matter of years. And that takes some time. But I did still choose to live through all of that. And I give myself limited time to be paralyzed in sadness. Meaning, okay, Leah, you got 48 hours to cry. And I want you to give it all the cry you got. You could stay in the bed under your blankie. I love a blankie. And don't move and just cry until it hurts. And you got 24, maybe I'll give it 70, whatever. I put a time limit on it, whatever I feel my spirit needs. But then that's it. You can get up. You can still have the sorrow within inside you, but now make a positive, challenging move towards where greatness lies. Make a powerful and challenging move to what you can learn from it, what that gave you. And that moves me out of that so I can move forward versus staying in the current moment.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's important for anybody listening right now to make sure you take that away. Make sure that you hear that, because joy does not mean the absence of grief. They need to be allowed to coexist. Allow trial to push you forward and to empower that next step. It does not happen right away, but I love the visual of that. Give yourself time. There's a time to grieve. There's a time to rejoice. But they don't need to be in the absence of each other. They're not mutually exclusive. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, stay tuned for a speed round of This or That with Lia. And we're going to learn practical ways from Lia to feel beautiful in the skin you're in. We're going to talk about her jewelry and all kinds of amazing things with Lia when we come back from this break. You have tried it all. Worried you will never lose the extra weight or reclaim the energy you once enjoyed? Want to achieve fat loss without spending hours in a gym or eliminating entire food groups from your diet? Well, now you can. In the virtual Faster Way to Fat Loss with Anna, my 6-week fitness and nutrition program, you will learn how to pair effective 30-minute workouts with all-natural, evidence-based nutritional strategies to leverage what you eat and when you eat to reset your metabolism and burn fat fast, even that stubborn belly fat. I am a dual certified nurse practitioner passionate about teaching sustainable strategies to promote fat loss and prevent disease. I have cheered on thousands of clients who have done just that with the Faster Way program. In my 6-week program, the average client currently sheds 7 inches of body fat. 93% report more energy and 89% state that their mental health has improved. 100% of clients report they feel this program is sustainable. Curious to try the program but not sure if the strategies will work for you? Try the Faster Way strategies for free. Head to www.hammersandhugs.com and sign up for my free 7-day fat loss accelerator course today and start your own transformation story. We are back here with Lia Valencia Key. All right, Lia, we're going to do a fun speed round of this or that. You'll get 2 options. Just pick one. You don't have to overthink it. All right, here we go. Cake or pie?
Pie.
What's your favorite pie?
Lemon or apple? I love lemon.
Ooh, lemon, yes. Pancakes or waffles?
I'm gonna say waffles because it's delectable delight.
That is truth. Philly cheesesteak or the best Philly burger?
It has to be a real Philadelphia cheesesteak. I'll take that.
Yep. Where's the best place in Philly to get a real Philadelphia cheesesteak?
For me, to me, you have to go in the inner city, like what they call the hood. I don't think it's the South Street ones. But one on South Street is a good one called, can't remember. It is one. It's not Gino's. Sorry, guys.
If you think of it, just interrupt me at any time because my listeners need to take note. If you're ever in Philly, we'll let you know where the best Philly cheesesteaks are. Okay. Musical.
Ish Kabibbles.
What it's called. My gosh. Spell that. What is it?
Oh, I don't know how to spell it. Ish Kabibbles.
Ish Kabibbles.
Ish Kabibbles. It's on South Street because South Street's a landmark. So if you're going to South Street as a landmark, that's a good cheesesteak.
Okay. Ish Kabibbles on South Street.
Yeah.
That name. Well, it's memorable. All right. Gold or silver?
Gold all day.
Mm-hmm. Musical or play?
Ooh, so hard. I'm going to have to say musical, but I love them both.
Yeah. Yep. What's your favorite musical?
Well, now I got to be biased. It has to be Hamilton now. My dear friend Lia Williams just took me to see Hamilton. And surprise, I went to high school for creative and performing arts in Philadelphia. I thought I was going to be an actress or dancer. And one of my high school friends, we knew each other at least, was in the play as one of the main characters. And she was amazing.
Oh, I love that.
Campbell, and she's in Hamilton. If you ever have a chance to see it, she's in the traveling version. Amazing.
That's awesome. I love that. I have actually not seen it yet. I need to see it.
Please see it.
I do need to. First thing you notice, smile or hair?
Smile.
Winter or summer?
Please, summer. I don't like
Amen, sister. Amen. LA or New York?
Ew, I've got to say LA. Oh, yes.
Have you been to LA?
I love LA. I would live there.
That's hilarious because everybody that lives in LA, I hear how they hate it. It's so funny because the people that I know that live in it are like, what's that?
The prices are ridiculous. I'd be running from it too.
Yeah, well, that's fair. That's fair. But it's warm. That's really the material point.
You got it. You got it.
So let's talk a little bit. In addition to your many accomplishments that we've chatted about, you are also a licensed cosmetology instructor, and you've done hair and makeup around the world. Did you do that in conjunction with starting your jewelry business, or was that something that you started first as you were going into jewelry?
That was before. That was
before. Okay.
Yeah, I went to college and, I was choosing my destiny. And I realized another great quote my mother always told me was, you got to complete. There's no quitting in the middle. Yeah. You start something, you finish it. So I was in college and I'm like, I'm really creative. I knew, sorrow was also kicking in because what I was experiencing through my mother, but I also knew I was creative, but I had started the business degree. And I'm like, okay, gotta finish it. So I finished that. And then I was like, well, the highest thing that I would do is a master's. So I went and got a master's because that was the thing to do in the world. But then I realized I wasn't serving myself. Like, this was great. That's why I say there's an inner whisper inside. Please, everyone, listen to it. You got to serve yourself. People are like, how do you have light? How do you have joy? You've got to stop being so externally driven by what the world and other people are guiding and saying, and literally go home, go inside of you and hear what your heart and your spirit and soul needs. Because when you can feed those things, you can authentically give joy. So I decided that I was going to follow what was me, what was joy to me, and it was creating. And I realized I loved drawing. I was an artist, self-proclaimed in my heart. And I'm like, ooh, you could do art on people. Like, you could do art on faces. That's art on people. Hair.
Yeah.
And like, it washes off. So no big deal for makeup. No hair, you do color, that's a bad thing. But so that's how I got into cosmetology, because I was looking at it as an art form. And I was trying to follow this art passion that I had. And what did it materialize into? But that whole time, when I was in college and before my mother passed, she saw my light. She saw me shining. She saw me choosing. And before she passed, she told me, wow, Lia, you are shining. You are radiating, and I see it. And then she gave me these little cheap earrings, little stud cheapies. And she said, wear these earrings always. Always wear your earrings, and let them be a reminder that even when you can't find the light, it's within you. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was so powerful. Like, these symbolic things. We were going through hard times, right? I was physically losing my mother, and light was getting dim, and I could always find the light when I would put these earrings on. And I started personally hand sketching, because, you know, I'm a self-proclaimed artist, for therapy for me. Yeah. Symbolic jewelry. Because since my mother told me wearing this jewelry would always let me find my light, I would just be hand sketching the sketches for me. Even in college during class, I'm like, hey, I'm not even taking notes. I'm hand sketching jewelry pieces. And that was just a hobby thing. And that was like joy and peace for me. And my mother passed. And I was trying to find my way to the creativity that I knew was in me. And that's where it led me to cosmetology. And cosmetology took me on this journey, to unlock. I put a heart, so I dream a lot. I'm very clear on what I want in the world. So I'd love to encourage people to get clear on what you want. Mm-hmm. Not, I kind of want, like, clear on what you want. Like, I knew I was going to cosmetology school, and I wasn't going to be a stylist or a makeup artist. Right. In a salon. I knew that. Like, I knew I wanted to be in a place where my creativity was going to be consistent, like on a movie set or something. And I met a lady who worked for QVC when I was working at MAC Cosmetics. And I was like, oh, that's it. It's near us. QVC's in Westchester. I'm like, I found that out, didn't know. I'm like, that's it. They've got to be, no one had told me this. I'm like, they've got to be doing hair and makeup 24/7, because it's a 24-hour network. That's where I want to be. And so for 5 years, I swept floors, even with a master's degree. So another nugget or another key is sometimes you got to go down and to come up, meaning you have this master's degree and the world says you're probably supposed to be making money. But I decided to sweep salon floors and get minimum wage to learn the craft of cosmetology.
Short-term sacrifice for long-term goals.
Long-term reward, yes. And that's where joy lies. Because happiness is fleeting. So sweeping the floors wasn't happy.
Right.
But joy, because I was moving, learning to my goal. And I didn't even know how I was going to get to my goal. But this was a millimeter move, right? Mm-hmm. I knew my first move was I had to learn. I had to get equipped. Education, what I learned, education is key. It's the other light that's unlocked for me. When I learn things, I can move forward. So doing that, I didn't knew that QVC was it. And so I set my heart on it. I set my intention on QVC, and I would put my resume in every year and day and whatever, and I would get denied because I didn't have enough qualifications. And finally, I love to share, always put your dreams out into the world and not asking people for anything, not expecting anyone to do something for you, but to get it out of your body and to give it wings to fly. Mm. And I spoke it to everyone. It was random. You would be standing next to me in Rite Aid or any store. If you said 3 nice words to me, probably the next sentence is, oh my God, thank you so much. I want to work for QVC. And it just became the habit. And finally, I said it to one person. I was bartending to try to survive. Great gig to survive. And the person there talking over 5 minutes. And I, of course, blurt out, I want to work for QVC. And he says, oh, I know someone. I know a friend that works there. And I'm like, So my next key is don't let society judgment block your blessing. Because we can judge a lot of things from previous experiences or what you think, and you could also be blocking your blessing. So I believe in not blocking my blessings, and I believe in saying yes. So I said, in my shady head, but in my open spirit, my light spirit said, okay, here's my information. So I give my information. The next day, he sends me over his friend's full name and contact number. I email her, Stephanie Humphrey, beautiful spirit, friends to this day. She didn't know me at all. That's why I'm talking about working with your inner spirit and who you are. Because my inner spirit had made such an impression on this person in 5 minutes that he was able to transfer that energy to his friend, to believe in me enough, someone who never met me, to say, hey, my friend said such great things about you. You want to work for QVC and you had so much passion when you said it. Here's the contact person's name, email, and phone number. Wait for it. And also you can say, I referred you. What? That's what energy does. That's what positive light does. It creates a magnet that you can't even explain to pull you forward. So I did that, and that is what got me, truthfully, an interview. And the interview, I had been sweeping floors and learning, great salon that would teach me for 5 years. So now I was ready. So the no's are not right now. Always not right now. Maybe shift a little, maybe learn a little, maybe go back to the drawing board, put some more tools in your toolkit. Yeah. Keep coming back. Because by that time I had learned to style all different hair types and do makeup on all different people. And I was ready. Yeah. I wasn't great, but I was ready. And that's when I got the job at QVC. And then QVC unlocked the exposure of possibility. I was in a salon 24/7, and I mean 24/7 because I would take shifts. People would call out. I would say, I'll take it. So literally sometimes I would do 24 hours because it was freelance. And I was around dreamers who had business dreams and making them happen. People who were making dreams happen, meaning the host on QVC that was taking these people's dreams on radio. And I was engrossed in this. And that's when Jamie, Carlima, and Vicky Sy found my light in the salon. And from that, they took me around the world and exposed me to rooms that I never would have known about. Seeing the possibility of when you have a gift to give to the world, how it can change lives. And that's when I realized, oh, wow. Every time I styled them, the last thing, or any person that I was styling, the last thing that they would check is like, okay, what earrings am I going to put on? What necklace what bracelet am I going to seal? And to me, it was like this seal of confidence, this seal of comfort, this seal of I've got this seal of light. And it will always seal the deal. It was the last thing before they did something really huge. And I'm like, wow, I've been sketching these jewelry sketches just for me. But I realized it wasn't for me. It was my journey. It was my life's journey from this darkness to experiencing all of this light in the world, encapsulated in these symbolic wearable pieces. And that's what people would use to go out in the world and shatter their glass ceilings and show up for themselves and for others. And that's when I decided to jump and create my jewelry line.
So I love that. Let's talk about your jewelry. And it's interesting that you say that because it is true. Even this morning, I put the necklace and my earrings on, which, by the way, I want everybody to see this. This is one of Lia's necklaces. And Lia, I have to tell you a story. So let me zoom in here. I don't know if people can see this or not. It's so cute. It's a key.
I can see it. I love it.
And then there's a little diamond like piece in it. So I actually am giving this to my daughter. She doesn't know it yet. And what's hilarious is I had it sitting out here last night, ready to go. And she was messing around and she said, "Mommy, what is this?" And I said, "Oh, it's, I was like trying to get her away from, I was like, "Oh, it's nothing." And she said, "Oh, it's so pretty." So anyway, I was like, "Oh, I love it." So that's my story. I've already gotten one of Lia's pieces here and it's going to be passed on to my daughter and I'm going to share the message with her. And I love that she's in 3rd grade and just, it really resonates with my heart, your story. So I'm going to tell her about your story and she's going to watch this podcast when it is live. So she understands the story behind this necklace. Yeah.
Can I scream now?
Yes, absolutely.
That's like a prayer. Please understand, that is my prayer answer. When I close my eyes and I dream of what impact Valencia Key jewelry does in the world, it's mothers gifting it to their daughters and passing that light on and telling them that all things are possible, telling them that you can shatter glass ceilings and sharing them that if you decide to choose light and radiate light, light has to come back. Like that is, because it's one thing to give it to yourself, but how precious is it for a mother to gift it to their daughter? That's another level of honor. So thank you.
Ooh, it's getting me a little choked up over here. Well, so let's send it back to you. I would love to hear, you are wearing, of course, several of your pieces. You have several of your pieces hanging, and you guys, listen, this jewelry has been featured all over the place. Oprah has featured your jewelry, right?
Yes, in Oprah's Finger Things magazine.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So this is so fun. I love the fact that multiple people around the world even, are buying these pieces of jewelry. So I highly encourage you, as you look at these pieces and she talks about them, to think about her story, how you could share her story with somebody through the jewelry, and especially consider mothers giving it to your daughter. So Lia, tell us about some of your jewelry pieces here.
Yes, I love everything is symbolic in my line. As I stated, Valencia means bravery or strength, and the key is an unlock. And if you look, so I decided that every piece that I create is going to have the logo. And I created the logo, and that's a whole nother podcast, on an excursion.
Girl, you'll come back. We'll bring you back.
I gotta come back. That's a whole nother podcast. But the logo is symbolic and it'll be in every piece. And if you look closely at it, it's 4 V's. So it's 4 symbolic forms of strength and bravery that creates a star, which is your light. And then I place the key in the center. So you have the power to unlock it always within. And that will be everywhere you see. And if you come close, the Rooted collection, I love because everything is stainless steel, but I created, which is a very hard metal. I created because it's so durable. But you'll see these roots weave through, and then you'll see the light shining through with the symbol. Mm-hmm. And when you reach out, you're reminded to whatever words you chose, stay rooted in that, no matter when the storms are coming, and whatever light you chose, shine it within. I also love just really simple classic pieces. I don't know if you can really see that.
I love those little bracelets. Those would also make a great gift. I considered those because I knew I wanted to give it to my daughter, which honestly, like, it really makes me tear up because I didn't know all the details of that story with your mother. So I love that. That is so special to me. But those would be another great one for daughters, I think, those bracelets.
I think I created this, like, honestly, when I was sketching it, I really felt subconsciously I was creating it for that mother-daughter love, because this one is a heart. I don't know if you can see it that good, but it's a heart with the star with the key in it, and then the key on the other side. So it's, you're the light of my life, and you can always unlock my love. You can always unlock your love. And I think that's just a wonderful gift to give someone, to let them know you are the center light of my life and heart. And people can know that they are loved. Sometimes we walk around the world feeling that we're not loved. And to have a symbolic, like, I'm loved, I think it's just so touching to me. So everything that I create, I want it to be these mental triggers to help you keep shattering your ceilings or pushing towards your dreams. But also, because this world is a we thing, I've done nothing alone. And everything I've done, everything you hear is because I call them earth angels, have literally caught my light and lifted me higher. So when I think of when you wear Valencia Key, I feel it's you're connecting into a community of hearts, a community of love, a community of family where we are believing to be great. And then when I see you wear it and you're doing your podcast and you're radiant, I was actually smiling with seeing you wear the key to light necklace and you radiating in such power and such glow doing your podcast, because then it inspires others that it's possible for them. My dream and goal is to radiate this message so far around the world that you wear Valencia Key, and when someone else is looking, they see that symbol, they see that star and key in it, and they know that you're telling them without you saying a word, it's possible for you. Yeah. You see me in my light, and I'm shining so bright that I can inspire you to shine with me, so that we can uplift the world together and we can keep having hearts go toward their dreams and live beyond what their predicament is. And I know it's going to happen. It's already happening.
Amen. That's right. I mean, your jewelry is just such a practical, tangible, wearable reminder of your message to choose joy, to believe it. You can achieve it. Your website is www.valenciakey, that is VALENCIAKEY.com, where you can see all of these beautiful pieces of jewelry. And she is offering this incredible discount code. Use the code LIGHT, LIGHT, for 25% off. And I also want to encourage people, you are an incredible speaker. You have an incredible story and message to share. If somebody would like to get a hold of you in order to have you come speak, and I would especially like to encourage, if any of you are teachers or administrators or you need speakers, I mean, there's here an hour of material. I mean, this is just an hour. And there's so many things that she can expand on here. So I would love for you to be able to have contact to reach out, and we'll make sure all of these links, all of these addresses are on the blog post with show notes. Lia, where would somebody want to contact you if they would like to speak with you some more?
Oh, that is my literal dream, to speak to hearts, as many hearts as I can. So thank you. That's a prayer answer, which you just did for me. I love you. You can contact me on my email, Lia, Lia, at valenciakey.com. for any speaking engagements. This message should keep being spread, because in the world today, right now, if anything we need is more light in the world and more love in the world, right? And more inspiration.
Well, and I just think more women need to hear your story, especially moms, because I mean, I can't even tell you what it means to me to hear how much your mom's words, even in physical incapacity, we just forget sometimes as moms, especially the power of our words for good and for bad. And so I think that is such a message that more of us moms need to hear. And then I love that we can gift our daughters, not just the power of words, but then the reminder of those words through your jewelry. And then I think more teenagers need to hear your story, girls and boys. We need to get her into our schools. We need to get you into our schools. So anyway, anyone listening, I would love to challenge you to really contact her and have her come speak, because we need that message. We need that message more. Well, I want to read something here quick. Well, we end this here. The box that my jewelry came in, it says on it, hold on, I have to open it here. It says, for dreamers, believers, and achievers, a dreamer's beautiful journey where if you believe it, you can achieve it. Inspiring life with style. Lia, I am truly honored to call you a friend, and I just pray for continued joy over your life and over your business. I truly pray that God blesses it and continues to send your message out. So many people need to hear it. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you with all my heart for believing in me and allowing me to share my love to your loves. It means the world to me. And thank you, everyone that's listening. I love you. I believe in you. And whatever your heart desires, your predicament doesn't determine your destiny. And even if you're in greatness, there's still greater if you choose that that's what you want for yourself. So believe it to be true and go for it. I love it.
Amen. The best is yet to come. Thanks, Lia.
Yes.